All right, so if you've ever thought about, building an app, launching a website, or dealing with just a ton of data, you have absolutely run into these three names: AWS, Azure, and GCP. They're everywhere. So today, we're going to cut through all the technical jargon and really break down what separates these cloud titans, and more importantly, figure out which one might be the right fit for your next big thing. And that's really the big question, isn't it? Trying to pick the right platform can feel, well, a little overwhelming. But trust me, by the end of this, you are going to have a much, much clearer idea of which one really fits what you need to do. So first, let's just talk about the sheer scale we're dealing with here. When you look at the market share, it becomes pretty clear that these three aren't just, players in the cloud market. They pretty much are the market. Together, they control well over 2/3 of the entire global cloud infrastructure. Amazon's AWS has been the leader for a long time, but you can see Microsoft's Azure is really closing that gap, with Google's GCP holding down a very solid third place. And look, this isn't just some abstract tech stuff. The cloud is literally the invisible backbone of our digital world. So when you're binge-watching your favorite show on Netflix or looking at those incredible images from a NASA space telescope, you're actually using one of these platforms. Their scale is it's absolutely massive. Okay, so let's kick things off with the one that basically started it all: Amazon Web Services, or AWS. They launched way back in 2006, and in a lot of ways, they really invented the modern cloud computing market as we know it today. So AWS's biggest strength, it's got to be its maturity and just its sheer size. I mean, we are talking about a global network with over 300 data centers. That's what gives it that rock-solid stability and speed. And their list of services, it is famously almost ridiculously long. Seriously, if you can dream up a cloud service, chances are AWS already has a tool for it. And all that time in the game means one thing: reliability. That's exactly why everyone, from a tiny startup in a garage to a massive enterprise, trusts them. And you can really see that power in the kinds of companies that rely on it. We're talking giants like Netflix and Airbnb. They are betting their entire businesses on AWS being reliable. But there's always a trade-off, right? With literally hundreds of services, the platform can feel a bit complex to get your head around, and you really have to watch your costs, or you could end up with a surprisingly big bill. Next up, we've got the powerhouse that came in and caught up fast: Microsoft Azure. So if AWS is the pioneer who mapped out the territory, Azure is the established giant who came in and built a fortress for the corporate world. Azure's superpower is, without a doubt, its home field advantage. Think about it. Millions of businesses already run on Microsoft products like Windows Server and Office 365. Well, Azure just plugs into all of that seamlessly, which makes it an incredibly easy choice for big companies. They are also masters of what's called hybrid cloud. And that's really just a way of saying they make it easy for a company to mix its own private servers with the public cloud. It's the best of both worlds. You can totally see that enterprise focus when you look at who uses them. We're talking heavy hitters like BMW and Samsung. The entire Xbox gaming network, that runs on Azure. Now, on the flip side, one of the common things you'll hear is that its main user dashboard can sometimes be a little confusing to navigate, especially compared to its rivals. And that brings us to our third titan, Google Cloud Platform, or GCP. Now, it might have a smaller slice of the market, but don't let that fool you. GCP has carved out a really powerful niche for itself as the go-to expert for all things data and modern, cutting-edge development. This is where GCP just absolutely shines. I mean, Google has been a data company for decades, right? And they've poured all of that know-how into their cloud platform. Tools like BigQuery, which lets you analyze huge data sets like lightning fast, are the best in the business. And get this. They literally invented Kubernetes, which is now the gold standard for managing modern applications. It's all about containers, which are like these neat little packages for your app. So yeah, this focus on the latest tech gives GCP a huge advantage with developers. So it's really no surprise that data-heavy companies like PayPal and Snapchat lean on GCP. And hey, you'll see Spotify on this list again. That's because a lot of modern companies don't just pick one cloud. They use a mix, grabbing the best tools from both GCP and AWS. GCP's main weakness really is just its physical footprint. It has fewer data centers around the world than AWS or Azure, which might matter for some big international apps. Okay, so we've seen what makes each one tick. Now, let's put them head-to-head on the two things that probably matter most to you: what they're best at and the price. They all have that flexible pay-as-you-go model, but the little details really matter. So let's start with what they're built for. This slide right here, it really just boils it all down, doesn't it? The best way to think about it is like this. AWS, that's your massive do-everything Swiss Army knife. It has a tool for pretty much any situation. Then you've got Azure. Think of that as the specialized toolkit that just clicks perfectly into place if your whole workshop is already running on Microsoft stuff. And GCP? That's the super high-tech specialist gear, the kind you bring out when you're working on some seriously cutting-edge AI or massive data projects. Of course, the absolute best way to choose is to just try them yourself. And the good news is, all three of them let you play around for free. But, and this is a big but, their free offers are very different, so you're going to want to pay close attention to this next part. First up, AWS. They give you a pretty generous 12-month free tier. This is amazing for anyone who's just learning or working on a project that's going to take a while. It gives you a whole year to get comfortable without any pressure. Now, Azure does things differently. They give you a $200 credit that you can spend on anything you want on their platform. The only catch? You've got to use it all within 30 days. This is great for a short, focused project, like if you want to test out an application for a couple of weeks. And finally, Google gives you what you might call the middle ground. They offer the biggest credit, $300, and they give you a full 90 days to spend it. This is a really generous offer that gives you tons of time and resources to really push their powerful data and AI tools to the limit. So let's bring it all home. What's the bottom line? Well, there is no single best cloud. The real secret here is that the right choice is all about your specific goals. So you go with AWS if you want the widest range of tools and the most mature platform. You choose Azure if your business is already deep in the Microsoft world. And you pick GCP when you're working on something cutting edge with AI, data, or open source tech. At the end of the day, each one of these platforms gives you an incredible amount of power, and it's all right there at your fingertips. The choice really just comes down to your project, what your team already knows, and how big you want to go. So now that you know the lay of the land, which cloud titan is going to power your next big idea?